I'm sure students, you must be wondering, why are these lectures recorded in full English? It is simply because you need to write the answers in English in your exam. So if you listen in Hindi, understand and think only in Hindi, then how will you be able to frame proper sentences in English directly in the exam? In case you wish to write appropriate answers in the exam, you need to study and understand law in English. And don't worry, these lectures are recorded in very simple English. So even if you are from a Hindi medium background, you will be able to understand these lectures and frame answers on your own in the exam. Students, in today's episode, we shall discuss the concept of acceptance and communication of offer and acceptance. Generally, case-based questions are asked on this concept in the exam. For writing practice of questions, you can refer my law compiler, a detailed question bank covering more than 300 questions. The concept book as well as the question bank book is available on my website capreetyagarwal.com. So let's discuss acceptance and communication of offer and acceptance.
You are listening to Law Ka Audionama by CA Preeti Agarwal, simplifying law.
Hello, my lovely students. Welcome to another episode of Law Ka Audionama with me, CA Preeti Agarwal. We were discussing one very important element of a valid contract, offer and acceptance. Offer is the starting point of contract, and this offer must be properly accepted to make an agreement. When we add enforceability, then it becomes a valid contract. So we are now discussing all the essential elements in detail. The first essential element is offer, because that is the starting point, and that offer must be properly accepted. So what is the meaning of acceptance? Acceptance means giving our consent to the offer, agreeing to all the terms and conditions of the offer. Section 2, clause B defines acceptance. It is so easy. It actually defines a promise. But yes, section 2, clause A, that is the starting point of contract, it defines offer. Section 2, clause B, immediately after that, because offer needs to be accepted. So when a person to whom the proposal is made signifies his assent thereto, the proposal is said to be accepted. So when a person to whom the proposal is made, okay, this is the first break, he signifies his assent. Assent means consent thereto. Okay? So person to whom the proposal is made, he gives his consent. Signifies means he communicates his consent. So the person to whom the proposal is made, that is the offeree, he communicates, he signifies his assent. Assent means consent thereto. Then the proposal is said to be accepted. All right. So now let us read this 2-3 times. Then we will close our eyes and try to learn this. Come on, say it along with me. Section 2, clause B of the Indian Contract Act 1872 defines acceptance as when a person to whom the proposal is made signifies his assent or his consent thereto, the proposal is said to be accepted. So when a person to whom the proposal is made signifies his assent, his consent thereto, the proposal is said to be accepted. Once again, when a person to whom the proposal is made signifies his assent or consent thereto, the proposal is said to be accepted. Now, close your eyes and say it along with me. When a person to whom the proposal is made signifies his assent or his consent thereto, the proposal is said to be accepted. When a person to whom the proposal is made signifies his assent, his consent thereto, the proposal is said to be accepted. It is only upon now, open your eyes, open your eyes. Yes, it is only upon acceptance that a contract comes into existence. Now, this acceptance may be either expressed in words or it may be implied by action. Students, I'm telling you, if you listen to these podcasts every day, and if you listen to the entire podcast 2 to 3 times, you will be able to learn my entire textbook. I'm telling you, because in these podcast lectures, I am reading out each and every word, each and every sentence from my textbook. So, if you listen to this podcast multiple times, I'm very sure you will be able to learn the entire textbook. I'm telling you. So, go through this podcast. It has unlimited views. You can listen to it n number of times. All right. Coming back to acceptance, it is only upon acceptance that a contract comes into existence. Yes, it may be expressed in words or it may be implied from action. Expressed in words, it may be either expressed orally or in writing. Okay, so I gave you an offer, you are orally replying. I wrote you a letter, you are replying by letter. It also may be implied by action. Now, a bus is running on a fixed route. Okay, the bus is running on a fixed route. All right. Now, the bus is running on a fixed route. This is implied offer. We board the bus. Okay. We board the bus. This is implied acceptance. Yes. So, words are not used. It is understood from our action of boarding a bus. Yes, it is understood from our action of boarding the bus that we have accepted the offer. This is implied acceptance. It creates an implied contract. Sale by fall of hammer, striking of hammer in case of auction, that also shows implied acceptance. Now, what are the essentials of valid acceptance? Acceptance must be absolute and unconditional. It means I should accept the offer as it is without any, these are my keywords, without any variation, reservation, or condition. I should not make any change in the offer. Acceptance must be highlight, mirror image of the offer. These are the keywords. So your acceptance must be without any reservation, variation, condition. It must be a mirror image of the offer. It means that the offer must be accepted as it is. Even a slightest deviation will make the acceptance invalid. In fact, this is not even an acceptance, it is a counter offer. This kind of conditional or qualified acceptance is not even an acceptance, it's a counter offer. Counter offer does not amount to acceptance. In fact, it is a new offer altogether. Okay, now offer must be accepted as it is without any reservation, variation, or condition. I have highlighted the keywords which should be compulsorily mentioned in your answer. Okay, you must compulsorily write this in your answer. Offer must be accepted as it is without any variation, reservation, or condition. It must be a mirror image of the offer. Even a slightest deviation will make the acceptance invalid. Conditional or qualified acceptance is nothing but a counter offer, and counter offer does not amount to acceptance. In fact, it is a new offer altogether. Now, there is an example which is very good. It can be asked as a case based question. That is why I am discussing it. L offered to sell his scooter to M for 40,000. M accepted the offer. He paid 30,000 in cash and he promised to pay the balance 10,000 in 10 equal installments. Now he has accepted the offer, but it is not accepted as it is. He is paying 30,000 in cash and remaining he is promising to pay in 10 equal installments. This is not even a contract. This is not acceptance. It is a qualified acceptance. In fact, this is a counter offer. This is not acceptance. Sometimes students get confused that, ma'am, he has accepted the offer, so is it a valid contract? No, the acceptance is not as it is. No, it's not a valid contract. Acceptance must be given only by the person to whom the offer is made. It means that general offer. Okay, what about general offer? It can be accepted only by the person who has knowledge of the offer. What about specific offer? Specific offer is an offer which can be accepted by that specific person only, the person to whom it is made. All right. So, general offer, it can be accepted by anyone, but a specific offer can be accepted only by the person to whom it is made. This Bolton versus Jones is important for exam. Bolton versus Jones. Okay. Now, it can be asked as a case based question, students. So, please pay attention. X sold his business to Y, but this fact was not known to an old customer Z. Z, in ignorance, placed an order with X. Y supplied the goods. Z refused to accept the goods. Now, in this case, is this a valid acceptance or should Z be compelled to accept the goods? Z in this case made an offer to X. He was not aware that the business was already sold to Y. So Z made an offer to X, only X can accept it because this is nothing but a specific offer. Y cannot supply the goods because the offer was never made to Y. So in this case, since offer was not made to Y, he cannot supply the goods. X is right in refusing to accept the goods. He's not liable to accept and pay for the goods. Next, we have that acceptance must be communicated. See, only when you communicate, when you tell the other person that yes, I agree, I accept the offer, only then it is a valid acceptance, a valid contract comes into existence. You cannot just mentally think that yes, I need to accept. That's not valid acceptance. Acceptance must be communicated to the offerer and it must be communicated by the offeree himself or by any other person who has the authority. Now, please note, students, that here we are not talking about who can accept. That is already covered over here. Who can accept? Only by the person to whom the offer is made, and if it is general, then anyone who has knowledge. Who can accept is here. This only talks about communication. Now, the person to whom the offer is made has accepted the offer. But who should communicate that to the offerer? It can be either communicated by himself, like I am the offeree and I am only communicating the acceptance, or I am accepting it but I am asking an authorized person just to go and communicate. Like I wrote the letter of acceptance and I'm telling my peon, you go and communicate that acceptance to the offeree. So please be very careful. These 2 points are different. This is like who can accept, and here it is who can communicate the acceptance. So both are different. Now, over here, there are 2 case laws and both are very important for exam. Brogden versus Metropolitan Railway Company and Powell versus Lee. Now, B, he wrote a draft agreement offering to supply coal to the company. The manager of the company approved the proposal. He wrote a letter of approval, but he forgot to post the letter. Is it valid acceptance? No, because the letter was never posted, acceptance was never communicated. Then we have one very interesting case law, Powell versus Lee. Mr. Powell, this is very, very, very important for case based questions. Okay, this is very important for case based questions. Now, Mr. Powell applied for the position of a headmaster in a school. The managing committee of the school, they passed a resolution thinking to appoint Mr. Powell as the headmaster. So they approved that we will appoint Powell as the headmaster. Lee, one of the members of the committee, without any authority, revealed it to Mr. Powell that the committee is thinking of appointing you as the headmaster. Now, Mr. Powell, because he was very sure that he will be appointed as a headmaster, he did not apply for any other position in any other school. Now the managers, they appointed someone else. Mr. Powell filed a case for loss of salary. He's like, you appointed someone else, I lost the opportunity to apply somewhere else because I thought you are going to appoint me. Lee already told me, so I did not apply anywhere, so I lost the opportunity to earn salary. Now you give that salary. In this case, did Mr. Lee have the authority? Okay, did he have the authority to communicate the acceptance? No. So is the acceptance properly communicated? No. Is it a valid acceptance? Is it a valid contract? No. So P's suit was not maintainable as there was no authorized communication of the intention on the part of the committee. Mr. Lee was not an authorized person. Now many students ask me, ma'am, can Powell take action against Lee? That is another case. But law says that on what grounds will you take action? There's no contract only. So on what grounds will you take action? He tried, no, in this case. Mr. Powell, he tried to file a case, but it was dismissed because that person is not a authorized person to communicate your acceptance. So he tried, but that was dismissed. Next, we have that silence does not amount to acceptance. Acceptance must be communicated. If this is asked in the exam, what are the keywords to be included? Mere uncommunicated or mental acceptance is not valid acceptance. I want you to write these words in your answer. Mere uncommunicated or mental acceptance is not valid acceptance. I thought in my mind, but you did not communicate. That is not valid acceptance. These are all my lecture notes. Students, you can also purchase my regular lectures or fast track lectures from my website capreetyagarwal.com. There we discuss slightly in detail. Yes, we discuss more in detail. Now, Feldhaus versus Bentley. Uncle Feldhaus was a builder in London and he agreed to buy the horse of Feldhaus' nephew Feldhaus. So he wrote a letter that if I hear no more about him means horse, then I will consider the horse mine for 30 pounds and 15 pence. Now the horse was already catalogued to be sold at an auction. So nephew went hurriedly to Mr. Bentley and he said, don't sell the horse. I have already sold it to my uncle, but Mr. Bentley sold the horse by mistake. Uncle filed a case claiming the ownership of the horse. Will he win? No. Why no? Because even though nephew wanted to sell the horse to the uncle, he never communicated his acceptance. He only had it in his mind. So since acceptance was not communicated, it's not a valid acceptance. So here it was held that acceptance must be communicated clearly. It cannot be imposed due to the silence of the party. There is one more flaw in this particular case. You cannot say, if I hear no more about him, I will consider the horse mine. Offer must not contain a term the non-compliance of which amounts to acceptance. Acceptance must be communicated. Yes. But sometimes our silence shows acceptance. Sometimes our previous conduct indicates that silence, there is acceptance. Now, A had subscribed for a magazine for 1 year, but the magazine company continued to send it even after 1 year, and A did not object. He continued to use the magazine. So now if you have used the magazine, you will have to pay for it. Here, your silence shows acceptance. Generally, it does not, but there are certain circumstances where it may show acceptance. So in this case, A is liable to pay as the continued use of the magazine implies acceptance of the offer. So it shows acceptance. Okay. Acceptance must be in the mode specified. I have already discussed this. I had discussed the example of courier. I had asked you to send the reply by courier. If you send it by courier, very good. If you send it by regular post, then I have two options. Either I will accept that other mode or I will reject it. But rejection must be within a reasonable time. Okay, so if I accept the deviated mode, a valid contract comes into existence. If I do not, then I need to communicate my rejection. Otherwise, it will be assumed that I am accepting the other mode. I have already covered this earlier. Okay. Time. Acceptance must be within the prescribed time. Like I want you to reply within 7 days, then you have to reply within 7 days. Otherwise, the offer lapses. Otherwise, if time is not given, then it must be accepted within a reasonable time. What is reasonable? It is not defined in law. It depends upon the facts and circumstances of the case. Acceptance must be given before the offer lapses or before it is withdrawn. lapse we have already discussed. X offered to sell his car to Y and later he withdrew by speed post and Y received that withdrawal letter. But in spite of that, he sends his acceptance. Is it valid? No. Acceptance is invalid because it is made after withdrawal. So acceptance must be given before the offer lapses or before it is withdrawn. Acceptance may be expressed or it may be implied. Expressed in words, spoken or written. Implied, it means it is made otherwise than in words. Students, these are the key words. Okay. So it may be inferred. Inferred means it is understood. This is a very good word. Instead of writing understood, write inferred. It is inferred from the conduct of the parties or circumstances of the case. Okay. So these are the two important key points. So Carlyle versus Carbolic, it was implied from the fact that she purchased and used the product. Transport company is running on a fixed route. We board the bus, that is implied acceptance. Dropping a coin in the weighing machine, it is acceptance that I want you to tell my weight. Okay. Next, we have communication of offer and acceptance, and I have a beautiful example for that. You need not refer any provisions for it. This example is sufficient. Now, pay attention. If the communication is taking place face to face, then there is no gap in communication. Okay, so if parties are sitting face to face, there is no gap in communication. But the problem arises when the parties are at distant places and they're communicating via letters, telephone, email, fax. So then in this case, we have provisions of section 4 and 5. Now, pay attention. X offers to sell his flat to Y and he writes a letter of offer. He posts the letter on 5th of April. It reaches Y on 7th April. Y writes the acceptance on 8th of April and he posts it, which reaches X on 10th. Once again, X posts the letter of offer on the 5th. It reaches Y on 7th. Y posts the letter of acceptance on 8th and it reaches X on 10th. Now you have to say, when is the offer communicated? I'll just erase this for you so that you answer it. When is the offer communicated? Yes, when it comes to the knowledge of Y on 7th of April. Okay. So offer is communicated on 7th. Now let us talk about acceptance. For X, the acceptance is complete when Y posts the letter, and for Y, it is complete when it reaches X. So a contract is made for X when Y posts the letter, and for Y it is made when it reaches X. All the dates go cross. Now, till when we can revoke the offer? See, X is bound on 8th, so he can revoke any time before 8th. Okay. For X, he is bound on 8th. Sorry, he is bound on 8th, so he can revoke any time before 8th. Y is bound on 10th, so he can revoke any time before 10th. That's it. This is all you need to remember. If you want, you can go through it again. You can rewind the video and you can go through it again. What if the communication is via telephone, telex, fax? It means you are using electronic means of communication. Okay. In case we are using electronic means, then the contract is formed for both the parties. Where is it? Yes, over here. So contract is formed for both the parties on one day only. That is when the offerer hears the reply. Now X makes an offer to Y over telephone. What if the line went dead while conveying the acceptance? Now what does law say? Normally, X is bound when Y puts the letter in the course of transmission. So ideally, when Y picks up the phone and says, yes, I know about your offer, I will accept it. When he utters those words or when he clicks send email, that time X should be bound by the contract. But what if X never received the email? What if he never heard the reply? So therefore, law says that in electronic mediums, there can be a possibility that Y has sent his acceptance, but X never receives it. It happens sometimes, students, that we don't receive the email, we don't receive the fax, we don't hear the message. So for both the parties, the contract will be made when X actually hears the message, when he actually receives the email, when he actually receives the fact. So the contract is made that when it is heard by the offerer. Okay. Now, there are certain special conditions in the contract. They should also be communicated. So, let us discuss communication of special conditions in the contract. Now, sometimes there are special conditions. You always see it is written as strict terms and conditions apply. So, see, you can impose terms and condition, but if there are terms and conditions, they should be communicated along with the offer. And we know that these terms and conditions must be reasonable. Okay, so sometimes, what happens, that we communicate those conditions verbally, and sometimes they are conveyed tacitly. Tacitly means silently. Oh, here the problem arises. I have posted, I have I have just pasted the conditions. You are expected to read it. So is it considered as if it is properly communicated? So sometimes special conditions, they are conveyed tacitly. Okay. So should we consider that they have been conveyed and the other person has accepted it? So law says yes, if it is written in a prominent place or it is posted in a prominent position, then yes, it is communicated. Like in case of your airlines, yes, tickets and other standees, or it is written at the counter. So we assume that they are accepted without any protest. Instructions which are written on the notice board of the airlines, we assume that you have read it. See, sometimes the passengers may have not read it only, but we assume you have read it because it is prominently displayed. So tacit conditions, it amounts to tacit acceptance of the condition even if they are not brought to the notice of the offeree. We had studied this earlier, that if there are terms and conditions, they should be brought to the notice of the offerer, or brought to the notice of the offeree. Like I had given you an example of the couple. He's staying in a hotel, and they simply post and they simply paste the terms and conditions on the wall. So there we had said that it is not properly communicated because their attention was not directed towards reading those conditions. But here it is not that. Here I am displaying it in a very prominent position. Like when you go to the airline counter, everything is displayed so prominently. If you still don't read it, then that is your problem. And it is not only displayed at one place, but it is displayed at multiple places. So if you don't read, then that is your problem. For the offerer, it is properly communicated. Then there is a case law also over here, Mukul Datta versus Indian Airlines. Now, Mukul Datta, he purchased the air tickets from the airline. The counter had prominently displayed the condition for carrying luggage on board. Even the tickets had mentioned those conditions, but it was in fine print. There was some issue relating to his luggage. Who will be held responsible, Mukul or airline? Mr. Mukul Datta was held liable because the conditions were communicated. He did not read it. That is his problem. Law also requires that the condition must be reasonable. Now, what is reasonable? That is a question of fact. It depends upon the facts and circumstances of the case. If they are unreasonable, then the party is not bound by those terms and conditions. We have a case law, Lily White Dry Cleaners versus Munnu Swami. Now, Lily White Dry Cleaners, they took Munnu Swami's new sari and blouse for dry cleaning. Or you can say Munnu Swami gave her new sari and blouse for dry cleaning. The sari was lost due to the negligence of the dry cleaner. Earlier even the blouse was lost, but then later it was found. Now, Munnu Swami, she filed a case for recovery of the full price of the sari. It was 220 rupees. Now, Lily White Dry Cleaners, they said that, Array, you did not read the bill properly. See, on the reverse side, it is written that in case of any loss, the customer is entitled to only 50% of the market price or the value of article. So, we will give you only 110 rupees. So, she filed a case. She said, but you lost my new sari. It was for 220 rupees. I will not settle for 110. What do you think? Is she entitled to 220 or is she entitled to just 110? Of course, she is entitled to 220. Why? Because if we allow this condition to be satisfied, if we agree with this, then the dry cleaners will keep new clothes and he will pay only 50% of the price. It means he's getting new clothes at 50% price. So we cannot allow him to enjoy at the expense of the customers, no? So that is why we say that in this case, the terms are unreasonable. And this will not amount to tacit acceptance. Okay. So this was Lily White Dry Cleaners versus Munuswamy. What if, yes, this is one extra provision. Now, let's say, for example, that X, he gave an offer to Y. Okay, X gave an offer to Y Offer was communicated on 5th. Y posted his, sorry, it was received by Y on 7th. So this is about offer. X posted on 5th. It was received Y on 7th. Y posted on 8th. His reply, his acceptance was posted on 8th and it reached X on 10th. Now, what if Y posted his acceptance, then he realized that I want to withdraw it, I want to revoke it. So he wrote a letter of revocation. Now, coincidentally, X received the letter of acceptance and the letter of revocation on the same day. So, law says whether the contract is accepted or not, whether the offer is accepted or not, contract is made or not, depends on whichever letter is opened first. If the offerer opens the letter of acceptance, then it is properly communicated, offer is accepted, contract is made. But if he opens the letter of revocation first, then the offer is, then the acceptance is revoked and a contract is not made. Now, revocation is always sent by a faster means of communication. So, a logical, a rational person will always open that first because we are curious to know. If I get a normal regular letter and I also get a speed post from the same person, then I'm very curious to know why is he sending me a speed post. So a rational person will always open the letter of revocation first. But if you are a foolish person and you open the letter of acceptance first, then in that case a contract will be made. Now many students over here, they ask me, ma'am, what if he is lying? Okay. So what if he says that I opened the letter of acceptance first, whereas he had opened the letter of revocation first. So see, if you lie, definitely the results will be, accordingly. If you are lying, then the judgment will come accordingly. It will not be a correct judgment. It will not favor the person who's telling the truth. So in this case, we cannot say that, whatever person lies, because then your decision will be made accordingly. Okay. So over here, these are also called as accidental form of contracts because we don't know whether a contract will be made or not. All right. So it all depends on whichever letter is opened first. So formation of the letter is a matter of chance. It depends on whichever letter is opened. So students, with this, we also come to an end of the concept of acceptance and communication. You may feel that, ma'am, you have written so much in communication part, but you have not explained it. Everything is covered in this one example. Where is it? Yes, it is covered in this one example. Okay, so you don't feel that I have left out certain things because that is never asked in the exam. They only ask questions which are around these dates. So once you have understood the provisions, you will be able to solve this. And this is not very frequently asked. What is asked as a case-based question is what if both the letters reach simultaneously. That I explained and I also highlighted the keyword. So with this, students, we come to an end of today's episode where we discussed acceptance and communication of offer and acceptance. Students, before signing off, I would like to tell you that these lectures are available on my website, capreetyagarwal.com, and please suggest this, share it with your friends also so that they can benefit from these audio podcast revision lectures. We also discuss the keywords, charts wherever relevant. So this is a very good kind of revision for exam. All right. In my next episode, I will start with a concept of consideration. For any queries, you can contact me on my mobile number. It is already mentioned on my website, capreetyagarwal.com. And students, before I sign off, there is just one advice which I would like to give you, that whenever we sit to study, sometimes students complain that, ma'am, we are not able to study because we don't feel like studying. When I sit to study, I'm like, I'll study after 15 minutes. I try to postpone, I get distracted. So what should I do? Okay, students, this happens when you set very unachievable targets, or you tell your mind that you have to compulsorily sit for 3 hours. Our mind doesn't like to be trapped. Our mind doesn't like when you give, like, you have to complete this in 3 hours, you cannot get up before that. So instead of putting a timeline, just say that I will get up when I complete this chapter. Or don't do that also, just say that I'm going to solve two sums then I'm going to solve 3 sums. Then I will take 10 minutes break and I will complete the remaining 2 sums. So when you break it down into small parts, no, your brain is like, okay, I need to do only 2 sums and then another 3 sums, and then I can take a break. So your mind will not stop you and it will not get distracted because these tasks seem achievable. Your mind will not feel trapped. So you do one thing. If you are a student who feels that even if you sit to study, you don't feel like studying, don't tell that I will study for 1 hour. Don't prepare a timetable with time written on it. Just write that right now I will solve 2 sums, then I will solve 3 sums. Like if you're studying law, then you can say that I will study 3 pages now. Okay, then I will take 5 minutes break and I will study another 3 pages. Or say I will listen to this podcast right now and then I will think what to do next. So when you don't give, like, timelines, and when you don't give a lot of restrictions to your mind works well. Try it. You can also make certain changes depending on what is suiting you, but don't try to put restrictions on your mind, then you will automatically feel like studying. Okay, try it and let me know if this works for you. I'll see you in the next episode where we start with a new unit, consideration. Thank you, dear student. Thank you for listening to this episode till the end. I'm sure you will find these audio revision lectures very useful for exam, and you will be able to recall each and every concept, keyword, and section number. You can purchase these podcast lectures for the entire syllabus from my website capreetyagarwal.com. Link is also given in the description. Do share this podcast with your friends, and I'll see you in the next episode where we will discuss more interesting concepts.
You are listening to Law Ka Audionama by CA Preeti Agarwal, simplifying law.